Breach. It was fun at first, but then we all realized it was actually Succ. A super objective heavy game mode was the selling point, but it's actually just a gank fest where the defending team non-stop hunts down the attackers to the point of spawn killing, so they can shave off their supply of respawns. Not all of this is meant to literally be changed, but it's just a list of clear issues with solutions. If you pick and choose a couple things, we are still much closer to balance. Throughout this video, I'm going to try my best to break down each aspect of Breach and see how we could make it better. Minions. The minions are awful. They're so focused on the player during the minion on minion fights that it is just disgusting. You can watch minions literally disengage each other, walk through your wall of minions, and stab you in the butt while you're executing. Minions should cower in fear at witnessing your executions, but that shouldn't stop them from progressing towards the objective. They have incredible amounts of health for literally no reason, and they aren't affected by anti-damage stacking. So, they're able to drop an instant 50 plus damage on a hero like every 3 seconds. This wouldn't be such an issue if more heroes were able to take out groups of minions much more easily. Kensei and Raider are easily the best heroes at minion clearing. They can do it with little to no problem, and they can kill 10 minions with one swing of the sword. But for example, Shaman needs to hit one minion with like 2 heavies just to kill one. So killing minions with Shaman is basically a suicide mission and just the worst possible experience ever, where with Kensei you can do it so easily that why wouldn't you just camp the ram and get all those renown points? They are also able to ignore other minions and attack the ram. This allows them to continuously damage the ram without pausing the ram. The defending minions should circulate the ram better and engage enemy minions within range. As it stands now, the minions will come out of their little hole in the wall, go up to the ram, clear any minions, start poking the ram. Attacking minions will then approach and poke the defending minions in the butt while the defending minions don't defend themselves and continue just DPSing that ram. In fact, on Hollowed Bastion, the Viking map, the minions, when they're coming out of their little hole, will progress up the little hill, get up to the main road where the ram passes by, and if there's no minions on the ram that's to the right at the gate, the defending minions will go left and go spawn kill the attacking minions. It's hard to tell which team this affects more, but it just adds for like inconsistent gameplay. I would say it hurts the defenders more because they could be relying on getting some damage in on the ram from pausing it, and they could clear the ram and then all their minions come out and then they just go right past the ram and do nothing. And it gives the attackers a bit of an advantage because then the ram's not taking nearly as much damage as it would otherwise. Now we're going to talk about the rampart. It is either way too easy to capture or it is impossible to capture. The attackers should probably get double the amount of minions pressing the rampart. This would sort of prevent the defenders from being too kill hungry on the attackers because by neutral, the attackers will just win the rampart fight. So if the defenders go and sit on the attacker spawn and sit there and spawn kill them, they can sure as heck know that they're going to be losing all of their rampart positions and that the ram is going to progress even more smoothly as they'll have way less minions attacking it. It will also be much harder to get the cauldron later when the ram finally reaches the gate. All the objectives should have capture milestones for 50% and the regular 100%. So a defender would be able to recapture or decapture the zone from 48% to 0, but if it was at 50%, it stays locked at 50%, so it can no longer be decaptured lower than that. So it's sort of like a halfway progress save for the attackers. However, it still punishes the attackers if they're not consistently going to the objective, as when they go to the next time, it will be really low. As it is now, the attackers can more or less just keep going up there, adding progress little by little until they eventually capture it. The final cauldron objective in any phase should remain decapturable always, and it should act more like a Dominion objective instead of the regular way the Breach objectives work. So if the defenders fight off all the attackers, clear the objective, kill all the minions, just like Dominion, the objective will switch back to blue. They'll spawn a little group of defending minions to help them out in defending the rampart, but then the attackers can come clear them out, get their objective captured, get extra minions along with their pushing minions, and be able to get a good hold on the objective. The Commander. He's pretty easy to parry because of how long his attacks take to charge up. The only real exception is if defender is nearby and they open you with some sort of bash or guard break. Basically, if you try to confront him by yourself as an attacker, it should be near impossible to fight him. He should have some sort of kit or something really obnoxious that prevents him from being parried all the time. Maybe he should kick you more and chain those into light, so if you try to dodge and guard break him, he'll just hit you, making it require much more focus to fight him and make him much more dangerous in general. I think the commander should get something like an Oathbreaker with some sort of cooldown, but a fairly fast one, like 10 to 20 seconds, where, you know, if you get revenge in his presence, he's going to use it on you right away, just so he can get that revenge off you. Countless times you'll lose matches to people who just hyper-focus the commander and they're just diving, wasting their lives on the commander because they're running out of time. For the most part, it's pretty hard to do anything about this, and then they're going to end up with revenge where they can continue to ignore you, do extra damage, not get knocked over by the commander, etc. So then at this point, you're almost getting punished for not having a team of Vortigers with Oathbreaker at the ready to prevent this sort of commander dive. Another issue he has is that his pathing AI is so bad. Like, his combat AI in general is also so bad. It is still possible to push the commander so far out of his zone that he'll actually like turn off and go try to spawn kill the attackers. I've only ever seen it happen on the Japanese map, but the commander straight up went to spawn and started spawn killing people because we had pushed him so far out of his zone that he just broke and he just turned into like a freaking warrior. So many times when I'm on the defending team and I'm trying to like help out my commander, but maybe I get knocked over or something, and the enemy team is just like railing the commander and he has revenge and he's just standing there. Like, he could drop a bomb, he could use his revenge, he doesn't do anything. Then he drops from half health to dead, even though he had revenge when he was at full health. And the whole enemy team basically just sits there, top heavies him over and over and over again, keeps him stun locked, takes the hits, and he doesn't activate revenge or drop a bomb or do anything. Like, he's just so bad. He should parry, he should drop bombs much more frequently. If there's multiple people on him and they're getting too much DPS in, he should throw down a bomb or use revenge. As it is now, he really does not do much unless you push him out of his boundaries. Another thing that could possibly be done is give the commander the ability to drop a stalwart banner to heal himself and allies after battles involving enemy heroes, not like stupid minions or whatever, and put a little cooldown of like 1 or 2 minutes so he's not just spamming it all the time. But like that and a little, and like, I don't know, 2-3 times more health gained from the banners would be pretty good, because then even if you didn't have people that had the banner, you can still keep them pretty high. And, you know, you might be saying, well, oh, okay, well, you could just, you know, everyone could just go Armusha and have healing banners and then he would have infinite health. Well, likewise, everyone could also go Sakura and keep using her 4th tier feat to just drop 200 damage on the commander, which has no real counter, by the way, other than just using shoves or bashes to hit her out of the feat. Don't worry, we're now just halfway there. Spawns. Spawn killing is a thing, don't deny it. It is also incredibly easy and effective. Some suggestions to fix it are, say my earlier rampart changes were never implemented. What could happen is when the ram becomes docked and the cauldron objective is captured, the defender's bond should be shifted backwards. Not entirely sure where it should be placed, but somewhere around the next phase's heal-in beacon or second rampart objective. I think the phase should be taken more serious in general, and it should be made the center point of the battlefield now. The ram is docked. It's kind of like, yeah, you can go down the ladder, be right there at the edge, but you should no longer need the rest of that map, and we could open up a portion of the next part of the map. So the defenders are like behind the wall, trying to get up to the wall, defend the wall, and then the attackers are doing the same thing, versus you're just sitting on the cauldron objective and you're watching the defenders just spawn and run towards you and overpopulate the cauldron because they spawn on top of it. If you're not an attacker and you go to the defender's side of the wall, you can go to the other side like a little bit, but further back where they're just spawning and there's no objective to be done back there, you should, you know, start dying of bleeds. And the same thing should happen to the attackers. We could move the location of the banner, kind of make it a sub phase, put the banner more up on the wall somewhere off to the side so everyone can still access it. It's still a point of center. and then the attackers will have a safe spot where they're not getting spawn killed during the phase anymore. The next point I have is, what are the respawn times in Breach? They are way too long. At the end of the match, I'm literally forced to watch a 10-second execution and then an added 30 seconds of respawn. I would say players on average die 15 to 20 deaths per game. If we do some real quick maths, the average amount of time spent dead is about 22 seconds. On average, 5 to 7 minutes of your 30-minute match are spent with your controller set down and waiting. Spawn time should start at 12 seconds and cap at 20 seconds, and the timer should start the second you die, because even if the execution fails, you're still dead unless someone revives you. So the second you die, you should start your respawn timer, and someone can execute you, whatever, but you shouldn't be forced to watch an execution when you could be looking at the map, checking for banner, maybe checking some strategic bird's eye view stuff, or just straight up respawning. I don't see why you have to watch all these different executions. One quick little quality of life thing I'm sure everyone can agree on is, if you're an attacker, you should be required to hold your respawn button for like 2 full seconds, right? And if your teammate starts reviving you while you're holding the button, you shouldn't be allowed to respawn until their revive attempt cancels. I can't even count the amount of times I'm reviving a teammate and we're attacking and we're low on lives. I'm reviving my teammate, and I'm literally about to revive him, and then he respawns the second his timer hits 0. I would also be interested to see what it would be like if the defenders just couldn't revive each other. They can respawn. They shouldn't really be able to revive each other. It again just helps with spawn killing or locking down the healing beacon. Speaking of healing beacons, every phase has a healing beacon, and it's actually where all of the battle happens, surprisingly. Stop putting the beacons in choke points where people can literally block you out with their massive hitboxes, and there's literally nothing you can do. More often than not, the character can just stand in your way, counter your guard breaks, and just turtle, and it's really hard to squish past them and stop them from just healing all the way to full health. If the opposing team enters a healing beacon for even 1 millisecond, it should be reset to neutral and require a full 3 seconds of uncontested attention to be recaptured. There are a lot of bugs with people healing in the healing beacon during battles and even while being contested. In general, no team should be winning a team battle because of a fat hitbox turtle meta. Another solution could be to make the beacon's contest area bigger than the actual healing area, i.e. you make it more like a Dominion zone, but then the healing beacon's still a circle, so if someone's in your little Dominion zone, you can't heal, so the little zone would go a little outside of the doorways or whatever, so technically people could hide in a little corner and stop you from healing, but there could potentially be some issues with this as well. This also raises the question of, should defenders be able to heal at all? They have infinite lives, they're able to be revived, and they are way less likely to be executed or have their dead body guarded, unlike an attacker. It also gives them a good excuse to perpetuate team battles and stand around for low health attackers to accidentally stumble into them. Wow, we are like almost done. The banner should have more attention HUD-wise. Maybe a tiny little progress wheel in the corner so I don't have to spam timers on my phone. Speed pickup should be completely negated by the banner. Speed feats should be completely deactivated while carrying the banner. Shinobi should not get a speed bonus from the Naruto run while carrying the banner. Stupid slow characters like Shigoki or Highlander should not get speed debuffs from the banner. Essentially, there should be a global set speed for the banner regardless of the hero stats or buffs, and it should be a nice walking pace. The banner is way too important to just instantly lose to a shaman with rush and speed booties. What idiot placed the defender banner capture points on Kazan Castle? On every other map, you run the risk of being poked in the butt by a minion as a defender trying to put the banner into your banner hole, but on Kazan Castle, it's literally down a flight of stairs behind a wall, so the minion would never get you there. Also, I really think the minions on the ram should like really focus on the person with the banner and be like, oh no, the banner, and go and like poke you a bunch of times. So if a defender sees an attacker grabbing the banner and maybe they're somewhere else, they could run over to the ram, clear the ram, get their minions there, so when the defender comes, they're gonna have a huge pain in the butt time trying to put it into the ram. In general, the placements of the banner are pretty horrible too. There are a lot of circumstances where the ram is literally on top of the banner and it takes 5 seconds to go from the banner spot to the ram, where for the defenders it would take more like 15, which is pretty unfair. And finally, we have the Guardian. He should give way more points to people who solo him. Should give his buffs and renown in phases, not all at once. Speed booties at 50% health, shield at 25% health, and damage at death. Whatever team pushes him over the threshold should get the XP and the buff of that phase. Should progressively get harder through his phases as well. He should spam his bomb and revenge more often. And he should only use his fire flask when 2 teams are in his arena to discourage them from stream sniping and encourage a team battle with a winner takes Guardian mentality.